Well, hey everyone, it is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. It is so great to be with all of you guys today. If you are new to the show, I want to take the opportunity to say thank you and I want to say welcome to you. If you've been here many times before, of course, I want to say thank you and I want to say welcome back. It's always great to have people that enjoy the show as well as those that are new to the show. And if this is your first time here or not, don't forget to check out my brand new book, which is Drained to Driven. All the information you can find at believemeachieve.com. More of my short form content, long form content, articles, reels, now my book, my Audible version of it, and even the Kindle version of it. So, guys, yes, it is great to have you with me. If you are thirsty or you're hungry, feel free to go grab yourself something like I have my RO and lemon water here. It is very refreshing. All right, so let's dive right into the show, shall we? Are you ready for that? I'm sure you are. All right. So this is Inspirations for Your Life. And ladies and gentlemen, the moment you start seeing it, season 5, yes. And I can't believe, ladies and gentlemen, that we are on show number 17 and episode number 6. The master topic for the week, in case you didn't know, is how people actually take control of their life. Hey everyone, I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, engineer, marketing specialist, video producer, podcast host, coach, keynote speaker, graduate student, and a passionate lifelong learner. And yes, guys, very grateful to now be a published author. This episode is about a shift that does not begin with action, but with awareness, kind of like my book. The moment you start seeing clearly, your interpretation of your life changes, and what once felt normal begins to reveal patterns you can no longer ignore. It's like once you see it, you can't unsee it. I think that's a very important thing for a lot of people to realize, that once you see something, you cannot unsee it. Very important concept, guys. Very important concept. Number one, let's dive right in. Awareness changes everything. I know, I wrote a book about it. Perception updates once reality is seen clearly. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Number two, guys, patterns become visible and repetition exposes structure in behavior. So there's a good thing about repetition, but it'll also tell you the truth about whether something is good or bad, because the truth will eventually come out. Number three, guys, normal starts to feel wrong. Acceptance turns into questioning. And then you're like, well, how do I move forward? Number four, guys, you notice repetition cycles that were ignored, how they become obvious. Like they're this big flashing light in front of you. And you can't ignore that, guys. You cannot ignore that. I think that's a very important thing for a lot of people to understand is that you cannot ignore that. And you might say to me, John, this makes no sense. But here's the truth, guys. It makes a lot of sense. It's just, how are you anticipating things right now? I mean, that's really the question that I have for you. Are you actually doing things, or are you just going through the motions, guys? Going through the motions is something that so many people do in life. They don't mean to do it, but they do it. And then they're not happy with themselves because they've been going through the motions. They haven't been an intentional person, intentional leader. And it's nothing to be ashamed about. It's just, you can change your life anytime you want to change it. You don't have to wait until somebody says, hey, it's time to change your life. No, you don't need to do that, guys. But you do need to realize one thing. You need to realize that you have to change to become different, to become better. These are not things that are going to be obvious to a lot of people. I mean, that's probably the easiest thing I can tell you, is they're not going to be obvious to a lot of people. Okay. And that's an important thing to definitely realize, that they're not going to be obvious. And when I say they're not going to be obvious, they're going to affect who you are as a person. They're going to affect who you are as a person. And I think that's a very important thing to note. as a person, as a person. So, number 5, guys, habits reveal direction. Daily actions show future outcomes. Yes, guys, the daily actions are what shows the future outcomes. Not the small stuff, okay? But the little things that are even smaller than small, right? Those daily actions, I think, really can help empower people to become better versions of themselves. I think that's a very important thing that just some people don't get that sense. Number 6, guys, systems become obvious. Hidden structures start to stand out. And when a hidden structure stands out, it's like, wow, I didn't know I could do that. I didn't know I had that potential. I didn't know that I could see it that way. I'm just being honest with you guys, right? I didn't know that I could actually see it that way. So behavior makes sense, and past choices connect us into clear results. But our past is not something people always want to dive into, but sometimes our past can actually give us the answers that our future self's been waiting for. Number 8, guys, cause and effect becomes clear. Actions and outcomes link directly. Yes, I said directly, not indirectly. I think that's a key point, that they link directly. But they may not appear to link until that light bulb goes off in our head, until we've had that special moment. So I think that's an important thing. Number 9, guys, awareness creates tension. Realization challenges comfort every single day of our life. So we need to respect and honor that. Number 10, tension creates movement. Discomfort pushes change. Number 11, clarity replaces confusion. Yeah. You might say to me, John, how do we get clear about something when we're confused? One way is to ask questions. Another great way is to become aware of your surroundings, people, places, and things. Okay. Uncertainty begins to fade when we start to get clarity. That's important. Number 12, guys, routines come into question. Automatic actions are reconsidered. And that's another one that I think causes a lot of people's light bulbs to light up. Number 13, guys, old cycles weaken. Repeated patterns lose control. You might have heard of the phrase before, like the top that's spinning out of control, the ride that has basically um, no ability to stay within its reins. So these things happen for a lot of different reasons, mechanical reasons, could be operator reasons. But when a pattern happens, it causes things to go awry. If that pattern causes things to get too out of alignment, well, we get something called chaos, guys. We get something called chaos. Number 14, external influence becomes visible. You see what shaped you. You see what shaped you. Number 15, conditioning is revealed. Environments impact. Yes. And it becomes clear when you or the environment gets an impact. I think that's another important thing. We don't think that a tiny impact is going to make any difference in our life. The truth of the matter is, it will. It just might not be noticeable or obvious to you, like that. But once you become aware of it, again, you can't become unaware of it. Number 16, guys, awareness introduces choice. Autopilot behavior stops. Now, you might say, John, is autopilot bad? Well, here's the thing. When you're running on so much autopilot that you can't even think about what your next step should be, yeah, autopilot's bad. If autopilot is helping you stay aligned and helping you achieve your goals and getting you to be intentional about yourself and others, then autopilot's good. So there's good parts to autopilot and there's bad parts to autopilot, but it's something that there has to be, I want to say, this delicate balance around. And a lot of people say to me, oh, I can't operate on autopilot. And there's nothing wrong but it's something important. And it's important to be aware of this. I think awareness causes so many people to a lot of times second guess themselves. It causes them to rethink their purpose, their core values. And there's nothing wrong with that because if your core purpose and your core values were just kind of picked up, you know, like a grocery list, then they don't mean anything to you. They don't have anything that is part of your wiring. We don't say, I want to be something and then just grab it. We have to intentionally commit to that. Otherwise, it's just words. Nothing more than words, guys. Number 17, choice defines direction. Choice defines direction. Pretty powerful, guys. Begin shaping the outcomes now. Now, you might say to me, John, well, I don't make any choices. I had a hunch you were going to say that. So that's going to go back to a similar question that when somebody said to me, we have to communicate, right? And I said to somebody, no communication is communication. Not acting is acting. So if you don't decide, if you don't make a choice is being made. You're choosing not to choose, but you're still choosing something. You're using your freedom to decide, I don't want to do that. That's what choice is saying to you. You might say, gee, well, I'm not ready to make that choice. You've already made the choice. You made the choice that says, hey, I had enough, or I don't want to move forward. The how, the why, and the when, that's not something I'm going to get into right now because every person is different. But choice is something that we are born with, but we don't necessarily execute it until we get older. We're afraid that if we make a choice, the outcome is something we may not like. So when we make a choice, we have to be responsible and we have to be accountable, ladies and gentlemen. Responsible and accountable, not just responsible, right? I think that's a very important thing that many people, like, they just don't get it for whatever reason. They don't get it. And these are things that I think will blow so many people out of the water. If you could think right now of one thing that you didn't get this entire, let's say, day, what would you say? Is it something that you just moved toward? Or is it something you said, you know what, I don't want to choose? And by you not choosing, guys, you've made a choice to choose. I know that sounds wacky, okay? Maybe you're sleeping in one day. Could be the weekend or what have you. Or maybe you're playing hooky from school and staying home. And when you're in bed, you made a choice not to get up. You made a choice not to go to school. Not a good one. You made a choice not to go to work. You made a choice not to do something. And maybe that choice happened because your body was starting to feel burnout. Maybe it was getting tired. Maybe it said, hey, enough is enough. I got to stop. When your body gives you these signs, okay, they could be warning signs, they could be more severe, but they're just signs in the very beginning. They're things we got to be aware of. And when we're aware of them, guess what happens? We can change the course in our direction. I'm going to pair this to a global positioning satellite GPS system in your car, right? If you make a wrong turn on a highway and now you're up a creek, well, not literally up a creek, but you get my point. You got to make another turn to either make a legal U-turn or you have to come around the block or you have to do something. So the car's job, it's programmed to keep you on the course. Maybe you're trying to get to a restaurant and you can't because, I don't know, you keep making wrong turns. Well, the car will keep patiently telling you to take this turn. And that could go on for minutes or hours. And you got to make the decision. All right, am I going to pay attention now and not miss this turn this time? Because I've done this 3 times. Am I going to like not miss this turn? A very interesting one where that's happened in the very beginning when I used to go to, well, the very first time for the new Newark Terminal A. In the beginning, it was like, okay, how do we get to the parking garage? It's not as simple as the other ones were. It's like on the other side, and then you have to go to the right. And then when you go around, you have to realize that there's a garage entrance, but you don't go in the first garage entrance. You have to know to go to the second one. First one says Hertz or whatever. You have to go to the second one. Otherwise, you don't get into the parking garage. And guess what happens? You now have to go all the way around, back around the airport, back around the loop, back down around. So that's like another 3 or 4 minutes, and you're back. So how many times are you going to keep doing that? You're like, oh, I missed it again. I can't believe it. So you got to be more conscious when you get to that turn because it's a quick right and a quick left, let's just say. Number 18, guys, direction initiates action. It does. Clarity leads to movement. We've said that before. Direction leads to action, and clarity leads to movement. When we know what to do, we do it. When we know what we need to do, we just do it. Number 19, guys, action produces outcomes. Now, it might not be the outcome you want, but then you got to take a different action. Execution, guys, creates the results. So action creates an outcome, and execution will create the results. Hopefully, it'll be the results you want. Hopefully. But if it's not, then you need to do like the GPS system does. You have to alter your course. You have to get back on track. Maybe it's a complete U-turn. Maybe it's a slight turn. But I think when we're aware that we're making the mistake or going in the wrong entrance for the garage or what have you, something goes off in our head that says, wait a minute, I got to just be more, attentive when I get to this spot after the traffic light. I need to know that I got to go across the street. I got to make the left, and I got to know that I got to get over to the right lane. If I'm in that left lane, that far left lane, I can't get over right away. And I might miss the entrance to the garage road. And now I'm going to go past the airport, have to go around, come back, and do the whole thing again. You're going to get pretty annoyed with yourself if you keep doing that over and over again. So hopefully the second time you're like, okay, I did the second time, the third time. And now you're like, wait a minute, we're on the fourth time. All right, enough. I've got to get this right. Like I got to really pay attention now. Number 20, guys, outcomes reinforce understanding. Reality will always confirm awareness. You remember when I was at MSU the other day and I was looking at the people and I said, gee, how many people are intentionally doing something today, intentionally aware? I think I counted like 3 or 4 people. Some people were playing on their phone. Some people were just walking like they didn't care, but they weren't being intentional about their life and about the things they were doing. There was the person on the skateboard. There was a group that was actually filming something for their final semester project. All right. There was somebody else there that was basically outside and they were painting. And these were all people doing intentional things. But out of about, let's say 700 or 100 people, there was only 3 or 4 people that were being intentional with their lives. That's pretty sad, guys. Number 21, patterns become unforgettable. Recognition cannot be unseen. Once we see something, once we know something, we cannot forget about it. We know it. We know it. Number 22, guys, awareness compounds. Each insight that we derive strengthens the next thought, the next action, the next insight. And when these keep happening together, people call it epiphany, but really it means you're in alignment with the things that you want. And they're easier to get. Number 23, guys, momentum forms. Realization accelerates the change. So momentum will form, and the realization, the awareness that you have will accelerate the change that's going to take place in your life. Number 24, guys, confidence emerges. Understanding builds trust in action. So your confidence will push up. The understanding builds trust in action. That's pretty cool, right? Have you ever thought about that before? What does that mean to you? What does that mean to you? I think it means that there's lots of choices. People have certain dreams, right? And dreams can have meaning. And I think these are important things to understand. And they may not be things that you're going to necessarily grasp. Again, 1, 2, 3. They may not. But when your confidence emerges, understanding of the situation will build the trust in the action that you're taking. Number 25, guys, change becomes intentional. Behavior starts to shift when that happens consciously. So when change is intentional, only when it's intentional, our behavior shifts. Let me say that again. When you make an intentional change, our behavior shifts. It's not just one thing you're doing because, oh, I'll just do this today. That's not usually what happens. Most people will build habits. They want to build good habits. Now, doing the habit is automatic, right? But being intentional about while you're doing it is something that shouldn't be automatic. Number 26, guys, growth becomes visible. When this happens, progress becomes measurable. I've said this a million times before. When we can figure out something and we can measure it, we can analyze it and we can change it, but we have to be able to measure it. Whatever we can measure, we can change. Number 27, guys, your identity begins adjusting. Self-perception evolves when your identity begins adjusting. A lot of people have this big ego attached to their identity, like, oh, I can't do that, or oh, this is the way I'm, or I'm the best at this. Your self-perception evolves. And even if you don't like what that perception is, you create it because of that awareness that you're having. Okay. That's really important to understand, guys. And I think a lot of people today don't understand that. But your understanding of the identity, when it adjusts, your self-perception will evolve. Maybe not at the rate and speed that you want, but it will start to evolve. Number 28, guys, direction stabilizes clarity. Direction stabilizes clarity. How can I give you an example of this? So let's say you're baking a cake and you've never baked one before, but your friend's walking you through how to bake the cake. Either they're there with you or they're on FaceTime or just on an audio call, and they're trying to give you clarity on how to bake. And that will give you more direction, right? When they give you direction, you get, oh, I get that. Now I know. That happens a lot. If you're a student, you have those moments and you're like, wait a minute, I didn't know that meant that. That's what that was all about? Yeah. So these little epiphanies, I'll call them, get our mind and body to say, wait a minute, maybe I shouldn't be going down that path, or maybe I'm going down the right path. It helps you make a choice. But some people get stuck on a pathway and they don't want to change the pathway. They don't want to change it because it might be what, guys? Too uncomfortable. Maybe they see that they're not as good as they want to be, but they don't really want to put effort into change. And I just say, guys, that is so very sad. Like, really, really sad. Number 29, guys, drift disappears when passive living ends. All right. So drift also happens during burnout. You get lack of apathy for things. You're not interested in stuff. And your mind drifting and your focus to things don't drift anymore. When you stop living a non-intentional life. Like I was explaining to you about all those students the other day, walking around campus and just watching them walk around campus. Some were playing with their iPhones, some were just doing all kinds of stuff. But they were not intentional. They were so buried in their music. Some were jogging, but they were so into it. Now, I can't say that the joggers who were like 1 or 2 joggers, they probably were intentional because they probably were focused on running. They were just running. But out of that, 4 or 5 people out of 100 at a university are not living an intentional life. So that means that when they go to class, are they intentional about their education? Or are they just going through the motions so they can get a grade? And I think when people realize life's not about going through the motions, it's about celebrating the awareness. Number 30, guys, decisions take control. Life becomes intentionally directed only when the decisions take control. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know this. Change does not begin when you act. It begins when you see. And once you see clearly, staying the same becomes, well, impossible. The reason you don't change is because A, you just don't want to. Could be too much effort. It's usually the fact that you're so comfortable on this side of the fence that I don't want to do more work. So I'll just stay here. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. Please do check out BelieveMeAchieve.com for my book and all kinds of other great content. I'll catch you guys tomorrow, Friday, for the last of show 17. That'll be episode 7. To wrap this amazing master topic up, have yourself a great one, and I'll catch you real soon, everyone. Be well.